In 1989, Nissan built a car so fast it made professional racing teams file formal complaints. Not because it was cheating, because it was completely legal and nothing else could touch it. America never got that car or the 9 others on this list, and the reason had nothing to do with safety. It's called the 25-year import rule, a safety measure on paper, the most effective trade barrier ever written without once using the word ban. Japan didn't fight it, they just kept building, and America kept saying no. Number 10, Honda NSX Type R. Most people know the NSX as the car that embarrassed Ferrari. What they don't know is that Honda built a version that made the regular NSX look like it was holding back. The 1992 Honda NSX Type R started life as a standard NSX, already extraordinary. Mid-engine layout, all aluminum body and chassis at a time when aluminum construction was reserved for cars costing 3 times the price. A 3.0-liter VTEC V6 producing 270 horsepower that delivered every single one with a precision that larger, more powerful engines couldn't match. Then Honda's engineers made a decision. They stripped it further. Racing seats, no audio system, no air conditioning, titanium connecting rods sourced directly from Honda's Formula One program. The suspension on each car was set by hand at the factory individually, one at a time, to tolerances tighter than the standard NSX by a measurable margin. The Type R lost 60 kilograms off the base car's already lean weight. The result was a machine that contemporary testers called almost aggressive. A car that communicated through the steering wheel in a language that demanded a response. America got the regular NSX. Acura badged it, slightly softened it, and sold it to buyers who wanted a statement car. The Type R never crossed the Pacific. Honda cited conversion costs and emissions certification. The real answer was more uncomfortable. The Type R was too obviously a race car in registration papers, and the American compliance process would have demanded they detune it to pass. It cost the equivalent of $80,000 in today's money. It kept pace with cars costing twice that. America decided not to find out. Number 9, Toyota Supra RZ. You know the Supra. You know the 2JZ. You've seen what tuners do with it. 1,000 horsepower on stock internals, dyno numbers that look like typos. What most people don't talk about is that the version America received was already a compromise before it left Japan. The 1994 Toyota Supra RZ was the Japanese domestic market's answer to one simple question. What if we didn't hold back? The 2JZ GTE and the RZ made 280 horsepower. But Toyota engineers built that engine the way architects design bridges, with load factors the structure will never actually see in normal use. Cast iron block, forged internals, oil cooling. The engine was constructed to handle far more than it was ever asked to produce. That's not a happy accident, that's a decision made. In an engineering meeting, the American Super Turbo got a remapped ECU. Different boost profile, compliance paperwork that took months. And even then, it was a $40,000 car in 1994, a difficult argument when the Corvette ZR1 existed at a similar price and carried an American flag. But here's what nobody mentions. The RZ came with a 6-speed Getrag manual gearbox. American buyers never saw it. The US spec car got a different transmission, functional, but not the same unit Toyota's engineers had actually designed the car around. When the 25-year rule opened JDM A80s to American import in 2019, prices cleared $100,000 immediately. The market confirmed what the regulators had been quietly preventing for 2 decades. Number 8, Nissan Silvia Spec R. Here's a fact that should make every American 240SX owner uncomfortable. Nissan sold them the chassis, the suspension geometry, and the body, and kept the engine. The S14. Nissan Silvia Spec R came with a 2.0-liter SR20 DET turbocharged engine producing 220 horsepower in a car weighing 1,270 kilograms. Rear-wheel drive, a chassis balance so naturally controllable that professional drivers have spent 30 years calling it one of the best platforms ever produced. America got the 240SX, same chassis, same suspension geometry, same body panels, but under the hood sat the KA24DE, a naturally aspirated 2.4-liter unit making 155 horsepower. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't the point. Nissan's official reason was California emissions. The SR20 DET couldn't pass. Unofficially, a $22,000 turbocharged rear-wheel drive sports car was a problem for Nissan's own American lineup. The 300ZX existed at twice the price. A cheaper car that was arguably faster in the real world didn't help that math. What happened next is one of the stranger stories in import culture. American enthusiasts denied the real car, simply sourced the engine through gray market channels and built the Spec R themselves from parts in garages, one SR20 swap at a time. An entire industry formed around recreating a car that Nissan refused to sell. America built a subculture around a car it was never supposed to have. Nissan watched and said nothing. Number 7. Mitsubishi GTO Twin-Turbo MRZ16A. This is the car that nobody talks about, and the silence is almost embarrassing given what Mitsubishi actually built. The GTO Twin-Turbo MR arrived in 1995 with technology that most manufacturers weren't producing at any price point. A 3.0-liter twin-turbocharged V6 making 280 horsepower, all-wheel drive, all-wheel steering, and then the thing that separates the MR from everything else on this list, active aerodynamics, a front splitter, and rear spoiler that moved electronically based on speed in real time. This wasn't a styling exercise. The system was engineered to generate meaningful downforce at highway speeds and reduce drag below them, a genuine performance solution that Mitsubishi's engineers had developed for circuit use and then fitted to a road car. Electronically controlled suspension, processed road inputs, and adjusted damping faster than any human reflex could trigger a response. America received the 3000 GTVR4. Related car, impressive machine, but the active aero system that defined the MR never made the crossing. It faced certification questions that Mitsubishi chose not to answer rather than fight. The engine management was recalibrated for American emissions standards in ways that blunted the top-end delivery measurably. 23,000 GTO MR units were sold in Japan. American buyers received a related but definitively lesser product with no explanation of the difference. By the time the internet made comparison easy, the car was out of production and the window had closed. The MR is the car that makes 3000 GT owners go quiet when they find out what the Japanese market was driving. Number 6. Subaru Impreza STI. America finally got a Subaru Impreza STI in 2004. By then, Subaru had already built 5 generations of it, each one more developed than the last, and sold every single one exclusively in Japan. The 1998 version 5 was the peak of the early STI era, a 2.0-liter EJ 2.0 turbocharged flat 4 producing 280 horsepower, paired with a DCC D-center differential that did something no other differential was doing in 1998. It let the driver adjust front-to-rear torque split while the car was moving. Not before, not after, during, at speed, in real time, with a dial on the center console. The version 5 also introduced the roof-mounted air intake scoop, functional, not decorative, developed to solve a real intercooler heat soak problem under sustained high-performance driving. WRC teams had been running similar solutions for years. It worked because it had to work, not because it looked aggressive on a spec sheet. American buyers in 1998 were getting the Legacy GT. Fine car, but here's what nobody said out loud. Subaru withheld the STI because the projected American sales volume didn't justify the left-hand drive conversion cost. That calculation was wrong by a factor that became obvious the moment the WRX STI arrived in 2004 and buyers lined up for months. But this wasn't even the most damaging part. 5 versions of development, 5 iterations of suspension tuning, differential calibration, and engine refinement happened without American engineers giving a single piece of feedback. The car that arrived in 2004 was better for it, built on lessons America wasn't part of learning. Japan got the education, America got the diploma. Number 5. Honda Integra Type R, final spec. Honda built the Integra Type R in America. That's technically accurate, but the final spec, the last production year, the end of the DC2 line, was Japan only, and it represented everything Honda had learned from 8 years of developing this exact platform. The 1.8-liter B18C engine made 200 horsepower, naturally aspirated. Redline sat at 8,400 revolutions per minute. Honda's engineers had hand-matched the intake ports to the cylinder head, individually balanced the rotating assembly, and tuned a limited slip differential specifically for front-wheel drive performance. in a way that gave the car a chassis balance that front-wheel drive machines simply weren't supposed to have. American Integra Type Rs existed, and they were genuinely good, but they carried compliance weight, safety equipment the JDM car wasn't required to run, and a suspension setup tuned to a slightly softer specification for a market that Acura believed wanted refinement alongside performance. The difference was 12 kilograms and a recalibrated chassis. In a car this focused, this deliberately stripped and rebuilt around a single purpose, 12 kilograms and a suspension tune is the difference between a brilliant driver's car and the perfect version of one. Honda kept the perfect version. America got brilliant, and nobody at Honda thought that was a problem worth explaining. Number 4, Mazda RX-7. Spirit R Mazda stopped sending the RX-7 to America in 1995. Emissions compliance costs had become mathematically unsustainable. The rotary engine's hydrocarbon output, its fuel requirements, its specific maintenance profile, the certification math kept getting worse with each passing year. So Mazda made a decision. They killed the American RX-7 quietly, without ceremony, and moved on. Then in 2002, they built one final version, a farewell, and it was the best RX-7 ever made. Spirit R came in 3 specifications, Type A through C, each one progressively stripped of weight and comfort. The Type A kept the rear seats as a courtesy, the Type C didn't bother. All 3 shared a revised 13B-MSP twin-rotor engine with remapped ignition timing, a sports exhaust with reduced back pressure, and a Bilstein suspension setup that Mazda's engineers had tuned specifically for this production run, and nothing else. Brembo 4-piston front calipers from Mazda's motorsport division, a carbon fiber drive shaft, 280 production units across all 3 types. America received 0 of them, not because of the emissions fight. Mazda had already walked away from that battle 7 years earlier, but because reopening the compliance process for 280 cars was a cost Mazda's accountants would never approve, and Mazda's engineers already knew it. When the 25-year rule opened Spirit Rs to American import in 2027, values had already cleared $120,000. For a car Mazda built as a quiet goodbye, the market has received it as something closer to a masterpiece. Number 3, Toyota Altezza RS200Z Edition. This one requires a reframe. In America, the Toyota Altezza became the Lexus IS 300, softened, quieted, repositioned as a European sports sedan alternative at a luxury brand price. It was good, genuinely good. The RS200Z Edition was a completely different conversation. Z Edition came with Toyota's 3S-GE Beams engine, 2.0 liters, naturally aspirated, 210 horsepower in a car weighing 1,280 kilograms. The Beams revved to 7,800 revolutions per minute and delivered power in a way that punished drivers who weren't paying attention and rewarded the ones who were. No turbo lag, no forced induction, just compression, displacement, and a throttle response so immediate that engineers from other manufacturers drove it and went back to their offices and quietly started over. The Z Edition also came with a Torsen limited slip differential, Brembo brakes, and a 6-speed manual, not the 5-speed American IS 300 buyers received, and emphatically not the automatic that Lexus quietly pushed as the sensible choice for a luxury clientele. Toyota's reasoning was commercial. The IS 300 worked as a Lexus. A driver's car doesn't work at a luxury brand's price point without undermining the brand's entire positioning. So Toyota built both, sold the luxury version globally, and kept the honest version for Japan. The Z Edition is the car that makes IS 300 owners go silent at meets when someone finally shows them the spec sheet. Number 2, Nissan Skyline GT-R V-Spec R33. The R33 gets no respect. Sandwiched between the legendary R32 and the iconic R34, it has spent 30 years being described as the forgettable middle child. That reputation is almost entirely wrong, and then the V-Spec is the reason. The R33 V-Spec was Nissan's response to criticism that the standard R33 had been engineered too far toward comfort. So they answered with the Altezza ETS Pro, an active all-wheel drive system that could vector torque between axles in real time, reacting faster than driver input, faster than tire slip, faster than any mechanical system of the era. upgraded Brembo brakes, carbon fiber drive shaft, a R33 chassis tuned specifically at the Nürburgring, not in a simulation, not on a test loop, at the actual circuit. In 1995, the R33 GTR set a production car lap record at the Nürburgring, 7 minutes, 59 seconds. The first production car to break 8 minutes on a track that ends careers and breaks machinery on a routine basis. America never got any Skyline GTR legally. That's a longer conversation with more paperwork than this script has room for. But here's the specific injustice of the R33 V-Spec. It was the GTR that Nissan built in direct response to criticism, the most refined, most dynamically developed, most driver-focused of the three-generation run. And it remains the most undervalued, the least discussed, and the most genuinely surprising to anyone who actually drives one. The 25-year rule opened R33s in 2020. Prices have been climbing since the moment the first containers landed. The market is now finishing an argument that should have been settled 30 years ago. Number 1, Nissan Skyline GTR Nismo Group A R32. Every car on this list was kept out of America by economics, emissions, math, or commercial calculation. This one is different. This one was kept out because Nissan built it for a racetrack, gave it just enough registration paperwork to be technically street legal, and then sent it out to compete against production cars that had no idea what was coming. The 1989 Nissan Skyline GTR Nismo Group A specification started with the R32 GTR platform, already extraordinary. The RB26DETT twin-turbocharged inline-six Altezza ETS all-wheel drive, High-Kes four-wheel steering, a chassis that Nissan's engineers had designed from the beginning with circuit use as the primary target and road compliance as an afterthought they'd deal with later. Then Nismo got involved. Racing suspension, enlarged brake calipers, interior stripped to the minimum the registration authority would accept. The weight dropped. The stiffness increased to a point where road surfaces communicated directly through the chassis and into the driver's hands, not filtered, not managed, not interpreted. Just raw data at every speed. What followed is one of the most one-sided periods in Japanese touring car history. The R32 GTR won the Japanese Touring Car Championship for 4 consecutive years. Not by margins, by distances. Other manufacturers eventually stopped arguing about tuning strategies and started filing official complaints, specifically that the technical disparity between the R32 and every other car on the grid was making competition commercially unviable. The rules were changed, specifically to limit what the R32 Nismo Group A could do. America was never part of this calculation. The compliance paperwork didn't exist because nobody had thought to write it. The car was not designed around a certification form. It was designed around a lap time. When the 25-year rule opened R32s to American import in 2014, buyers discovered that even the standard GTR was a revelation. The Nismo Group A specification, rarer, RAR, built for an entirely different purpose, showed up at auction and did something remarkable. It made everyone in the room quiet. Some cars get kept out because they're too fast. This one got kept out because it was too honest about what it was. A race car with plates on a public road and absolutely no apologies. 10 cars, 10 different ways the system worked exactly as intended. The 25-year rule has cracked the door open for most of them now. Prices tell the rest of the story. 6 figures for cars that were affordable when they were new, because the market understands what was being withheld even when the paperwork pretended otherwise. Japan spent the 1990s building the most technically advanced performance cars in the world. America spent the same decade building the documentation to keep them out. The strange irony, most of these cars are on American roads now, gray-haired, worth more than the houses of the people who originally drove them, exactly as fast as they always were. The system kept them out for 25 years and didn't change what they were.